guys, welcome back to the channel Nate's Pink Bookshelf. My name is Nate Denise for those of you who are new to the channel or who just happen to stumble across this video. And today's video is going to be my March TBR. And for the month of March, I have 14 books total on my TBR, but I'm really only going to be reading 12 of those because the other 2 I have already read. And I'm also going to be partaking in 3 readathons total this month. So one is a 1-month-long readathon, the other one is a 2-week readathon, and then I have another one that is going to be a 48-hour readathon, which I'm super excited. I feel like even though I only read about 8 books in January and 8 books in February, I feel like from February alone, my reading has like got back to what it needed to be. I'm used to reading at least 21 books, 15, 16, 17 books a month. So for most people, reading 8 books a month is fine. But for me, it's kind of like I know something's off, but I feel like I'm getting back into the swing of things. So I'm super excited. So I'm going to start off with the first 2 books, which I have already read, so I'm not going to be rereading those, but I do want to share them with you guys so that you guys know about these book clubs. The first one is going to be the Busy Bee Book Club, hosted by Erin from Booked and Busy. Click the eye to go to her channel, and that is going to be Fate of the Fallen by Kel Cade, the first book in the Shroud of Prophecy series. Let me make sure I'm saying it right because it's not on the cover. Yeah, Shroud of Prophecy series. So I did see the cover for the sequel, which is stunning, and I know that they did an actual cover remake of the series, which can't stand it, but it's okay because this is a book of the month copy, so I don't mind getting the sequel and whatever new cover it is. But this book is so interesting. I don't really know how to explain it without spoiling it. So pretty much what I heard going into this was that it's a chosen one trope twisted upside down on its head. And I'm going to read the inside flap. So it says, not all stories have happy endings. Everyone loves Matthias. Naturally, when he discovers it's his destiny to save the world, he dives headfirst, pulling his best friend Aslo, I think that's how you say his name, Aslo, along for the ride. However, saving the world isn't as easy as it sounds in the stories. The going gets rough, and the folks start to believe that their best chance for survival is to surrender to the forces of evil, which isn't how the prophecy goes at all. As the list of allies grows thin and the friends find themselves staring death in the face, they must decide how to become the heroes they were destined to be, or failing that, how to survive. So let me just say, I love Matthias. Matthias is such an amazing character, and Aslo is just like, I can't give more detail on that because it would really spoil everything. And things happen literally like early on in the book. So just, I would say if you're gonna read this, go into this with an open mind, number one, and go into it with wanting to have fun, because this might not be a cup of tea for everyone else. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I can't remember what I gave it. The rating is on the screen, but I know I did love it. And I'm super excited for that. But I read it already, and because it's still fresh in my mind, I'm not going to reread it. But we have this book. The next book is for the Simply We Read Book Club, hosted by Kaylani. Click the eye to go to her channel. And I joined it before when she started it last year. I know for February she picked it back up, and they were reading a book by TJ Klune, The House on the Cerulean Sea. I have an ebook of it, was gonna read it, but I really think I want a physical copy of that book because so many people talk about it so well. It's pretty much adult, a middle grade for adult kind of story, so I'm going to end up getting a physical copy of that. So I didn't do it for February, but for March they're reading a book that I read, so I'm not going to be rereading it. But it's The City of Brass by S.H. Chakraborty. It's the first book in the Daevabad trilogy, or Daevabad. Is it Daevabad or Daevabad? Someone let me know. But I think I gave this a 4 or 4.5 star rating, can't really remember. This is an interesting story. It follows a young girl named Nahari, right? Nahar, I think that's how you say her name. Nari is how I say it in English. It follows her in one of the Daevabad, or Jinn, and their world, and her learning that she's actually part Jinn and things like that. It was pretty good from when I read it. As you can see, I started out physically reading it along with the audiobook, and then I ended up just listening to the audiobook. So I probably should reread it physically, but I'm not going to. So we have that. But this is the book club pick for that book club. Okay, so moving on, now we're going to talk about the readathons, and I have all the timestamps down below if you guys are interested. But this is actually going to be the readathon for the War Games. The War Games readathon, hosted by Erin from Booked and Busy, along with her 2 co-hosts. All the information is down below. But for this, there are 3 different paths, and each path also has 3 different sort of archetypes. So I printed them all out because I actually do want to eventually try all of them out. But you have the light path, which I'm gonna hold it right here, but it's the light path, and you have the chosen one, the sage, or the ruler, so like the good guys pretty much. You then have the gray path, which is more so your morally gray characters, so like the lost heir, the rebel, and the thief. But I'm going to be doing the dark path, and the dark path is more like your villainous characters. So you have the Dark Lord, the assassin, and the temptress. Yeah, so of those, I am actually going to be doing the dark path as the assassin, and I don't know what it is, but assassins just do things for me. They make me happy, they make me swoon. So for that, they each have 5 reading prompts. So the goal of this readathon is to actually get the most 5-star reads, which I thought was pretty epic, because a lot of the times we assume books are going to be 5-star reads and they're not, and then the books we don't assume are going to be 5-star reads, they are. So this is actually quite interesting. However, we're going to jump in. So the first prompt for the assassin is to read a book that will make you cry, and for that I have Howl's Moving Castle by Diane Wynne Jones, I don't know, but I actually watched the anime version of this, and I was bawling my eyes out, because there were certain quotes and certain things that happened with Howl that just gutted me. So I know I'm gonna be excited to read this, and I've been trying to read this for forever, like, honestly, and I'm ready to finally dive into this. So I know I'm gonna cry with this book automatically. Okay, so moving on, the second prompt is to read a book with a creepy setting or a mystery. So I have 2 books technically. I'm not sure if this first one will count, but I have Pregnancy by Susanna Clark. So it's really a fantasy, but there's a mystery behind the house that Pernice lives in, because the house is ever changing. It's a maze and things like that, and there's like certain floors with different things going on. So this is a little bit of a stretch, I know, but I do have one that is an actual mystery. This book is a detective mystery thriller type of story, and it's Shovel Ready by Adam Sternberg, I think, and it's the first one in the Spade Man novel. I do own the sequel. I'm not sure if there's just 2 books in this or not, but yeah, it's a short read. I figured it would be a good one to read, and I'm trying to get more into mystery, thriller, suspense books. So we have this if I want to be like legit mystery genre, but we also have Piranesi because it's a fantasy, but it also has mystery aspects to it. So either way it goes. Okay, right. So then we have the third prompt, which is to read an underhyped book. For that, I'm actually reading it right now. It's House of Always by Jen Lyons, and you guys see these books behind me right here. Yeah, I love A Chorus of Dragons. This series is amazing, and most people won't like it because of how complex it can be as far as like reading goes, but I feel like once you get past book 1, you'll begin to enjoy it. And I own 2 copies of book 1. I read book 1 twice. I enjoyed book 2. I loved book 3 like so much. And book 4, I'm only 5% of the way through right now, but this series is just underhyped. I honestly believe the entire series is underhyped, and the book itself is actually underhyped as well. The book hasn't come out yet. It comes out in May. I was excited to be gifted an e-arc of it, so yes, so excited. But yeah, this series is underhyped, and I feel like more people should read it. Watch my reviews. If you haven't seen my review of book 1, click the eye to go to that video. But I think it's a great series. I think that reading the series is going to be epic and fun, and I just think that this is definitely an underhyped book, because I haven't heard many people rave about it. I know that Piera Ford loves this series. Love her. And that was actually one of the people I watched her reviews of it, and I love that she did a review, which sparked me into wanting to make my own review, because there wasn't many reviews out for the series. So she is the only other, I think, booktuber I've heard rave really about the 4th book coming out. So underhyped, don't care. Then the 4th one is to read a book with an assassin. So I had many options for this, but you cannot do rereads with this readathon, because obviously if you do a reread, you know what you already rated it. So I'm going with the sequel that I actually need to pick up, because I've been stalling, and the reason why I've been stalling is because I don't own a physical copy of book 1 or book 3, but I read book 1, and that's going to be Grey Sister by Mark Lawrence. School of Assassins, I mean, it is what it is. It's a nun school. It's a assassin school ran by nuns. What more? And I need to just dive back into this world, into the story, because I do want to read the spinoff series, which I do own the ebooks for. But yeah, honestly, I can't remember a daggone thing that happened, so I'm gonna have to read my review of it. But this one, yeah, okay. So the Covenant of Sweet Mercy, training girls to hone their skills. Nona, right? So we have Nona, who's a little girl. Okay, so Nona Gray, she has begun to learn the secrets of the universe, but so often even the deepest truths just make our choices harder. Yes, the pride of a thwarted assassin. Boom, there we go. The Inquisition like a knife. So yeah, I'm excited to dive back into this with the friendships, with the world building, with the magic and the assassinations and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm excited for this. So we have that. And then the final one is to read a novella or short story, and clearly I don't have it with me, so let me go grab that book real quick. Okay, so this one, I know for sure I'm giving it a 5 stars regardless of how I feel about it. Like, I don't think that this book could do anything wrong, honestly. But it's going to be How the King of Elfenheim Learned to Hate Stories by Holly Black. It is book 3.5 in the Cruel Prince. Yeah, no, it's not called the Cruel Prince. What is the series called? There's another name for the series, and I can't for the life of me think of what the name is. Oh, Lord. The name is on the screen because I honestly can't remember the actual name of the series. I call it the Cruel Prince trilogy, but it's not called the Cruel Prince. It's called something else, if I'm not mistaken. So the actual title for the series is on the screen. But yeah, this is a novella focused all on Carden, and we ship Carden. I love Carden so much, and I don't feel like this could like not be a 5-star read, period. I'm going into this with open mindset, open eyes, open heart. I know some people were not ecstatic about this because it didn't really focus on things that they wanted. I don't care, as long as I get me some Carden, I don't care. So I'm excited, and I'm glad that I saved this because I was gonna read it when it came out. I did get the exclusive edition from Barnes & Nobles, of course, but I was going to read it when it came out, but something just told me to keep putting it off, and I'm glad I did because it fits for this prompt. And he's not really an assassin, you know, but he has more of like that Dark Lord type of vibe going. So we had this book. Okay, so now we're gonna move on into the readathon that's gonna be 2 weeks, and that's actually gonna be Tome Topple round 14. We love, and this is created by Sam from Thoughts on Tomes. You can click the ad to go to her channel, or go to her video all about it. But I'm super excited. I've been partaking in this readathon for a while, and I love it so much. And it is basically a 2-week readathon in which you are reading Tome, and a Tome is defined according to Sam as a book that is over 500 pages. So I love it because I do have a lot of high fantasy, epic fantasy novels that I wanted to read, and I just never get a chance to read them as often because they're so big and so thick. So I'm super excited. I have my books here. I have the prompts written down. So yeah, the prompts I think are the same prompts as round 13, if I'm not mistaken. She doesn't have the bingo board created as of yet because there's normally a bingo board, but I think these were the same prompts on that last one. I would assume. So it's going to be taking place from March 15th to the 28th. So that's a Monday to a Sunday. I think it's normally from a Sunday to a Saturday, but 2 weeks is perfectly fine. And there is really no way to win per se. I guess you read according to how you feel, but there are sort of like levels. So if you do 1 to 3 prompts, you are considered a student. If you do 4 to 6, you're considered a scholar, and if you do 7 to 9, which is basically all the prompts, you become a sage. And I normally try to become a sage, so in order to be a sage, I think you need at least a minimum of 4 books, but I always try to have 5 on my TBR, and I pretty much can read 2 tomes a week. So you know, I feel like I can do this again. Feel like I can do it really well. So I have the prompts in the books that I'm going to be reading. So I'm just going to talk about the prompts as I grab the books. So the first book I have is A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. So I have a love-hate relationship with the series, with this book. Okay, so I watched the show. I watched like 2 episodes, didn't care, turned it off. I feel like after that first episode where the relatives were like straight up having sex in it, and then the little boy caught them and then he fell out the window, it wasn't my cup of tea. So, and don't get me wrong, I have seen lots of shows with, you know, relatives having sex and all that stuff. I have seen shows with medieval type style settings, but for some reason it just wasn't clicking in my brain. So then I decided to read 2 volumes of the graphic novel. I hated it. So I figured since I tried the show and I tried the graphic novel, maybe reading the actual book will do me better. So I'm finally gonna give it a go. You know, why not? So this is actually going to fulfill prompts 3 and 7. So prompt 3 is to read the tome with the most pages, and of the tomes on my TBR, this one is at 807 pages of the story. The actual tome itself is like 840 something pages, but the story without the appendix, it's 807 pages. So this has the most pages of all the tomes, the 5 tomes on my TBR. And then for prompt 7, which is to read a tome in a genre you don't usually read. So I'm stretching this one just a little bit, because it's still fantasy. I love me fantasy, of course, but I don't care for historical fiction novels, and this is considered historical epic fantasy or epic historical fantasy. I hate historical fiction, so yeah, a little bit of a stretch, but it works. Don't care. Don't quote me on that. Not don't quote me on that, but don't come for me. It is what it is. But yeah, hopefully I enjoy it. I will listen to the audiobook as I'm reading. Hopefully it works well. So wish me luck. The next book I'm going to be reading is Black Leopard Red Wolf by Marlon James. Okay, so this book has been on my TBR for a long time, and I have not gotten to it yet. I know that this is a very polarizing book. A lot of people don't care for it because of how the author really refers to women. I believe this has gay representation in it. Don't quote me on that. Either gay or bisexual. Can't really remember, honestly, but I know that this has LGBTQ+ rep in it somewhere, somehow. And I know that this is an overly sexualized story, but it's fantasy, and I don't mind trying it out, seeing what I think of it personally. So yeah, this one goes for prompts 6 and 4. So the 4th prompt is to read a seasonally colored book. So spring. Technically, we're still in winter, but when Sam did her video, she said spring and fall. So okay, a little bit of a stretch here. Again, a little bit of a stretch. However, spring colors are on here. You have your light greens. Can you see? You have like those nice muted blues and nice pinks and some yellows here. So a little bit of a stretch. It is a dark cover, but I feel like if the background was white, you would definitely be able to see those spring colors. So I'm stretching it just a little bit. And then the 6th prompt, right, is to read a tome by a BIPOC author, and Marlon James is Caribbean. Yeah, born in Jamaica, so he's Jamaican, so here we go. Okay, so the next one I'm going to be reading is Akasaf, A Court of Silver Flames. And let me just say, I hate this cover so much. I hate the new covers so much. I refuse to buy the original trilogy with the new covers. I'm not going to do it. And I honestly was not going to buy this book. I promise you it wasn't, because I did not care for the cover. However, I watched a bunch of vlogs. Tears. And then I saw it in Walmart because I really was not going to buy it. In my Walmart, sometimes they have really great new releases out at cheaper prices. So I was like, you know what? It's here. It's calling my name. So I paid like $20 for it, pretty much. And the book is actually $28, and I'm going to read this. So this is going to fulfill prompt number 8, which is to read from a series you haven't read in a while. And the last time I read anything from Sarah J. Maas was like, let me not say from Sarah J. Maas, because I did read House of Earth and Blood, which I did enjoy. But the last time I read this series, the Archetype series, was 2018. So it's been a while, and the new release is out, so I figured I would squeeze this in, and I'm hopeful. I know that this is gonna make me cry a lot. I've seen so many videos where people have cried over this, over Nesta. A lot of people said that it was interesting to see Feyre and Rhysand from the outside instead of from the inside with the crew. So I know this is gonna give me other feels. So yes, we have this book. Okay, the next one I have on my TBR is going to be this baby. Which, when did this book come out? Because I know I had this book for a while. 2019. Oh, it's not that long. I don't know why I feel like this book came out like years ago, but 2019 isn't that long. But Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. Okay, so I'm gonna do it to myself. Don't ask me why. This one goes for prompts 1 and 2. So the first prompt is to read the tome that's been on your TBR the longest. Of the 5, this definitely has been on my TBR the longest. And then the second one is to read an audiobook tome, which I definitely will be listening to the audiobook for this. All of these will be audiobook reads, but I'm using this one to satisfy that prompt. So yeah, all I know is that this is a fantasy. It is matriarchal society or world, and it has LGBTQ+ rep in it, and it's massive. It's standalone fantasy, so I got hopes. Hopefully it's good. I'm hoping it's a 4 stars minimum. 4 stars minimum, but we have that. Last tome I have is actually going to fulfill prompt number 5, and prompt number 5 is just to read 1 tome, so I'm just going to put this in there because I actually do want to read it, but I'm not stressed if I don't get to it. I'm not too stressed if I don't get to this one, but it is With Blood Upon the Sand by Bradley P. Bolio. And I know before I was like Bulu, but his last name is not Bulu, it's Bolio. So yeah, but it's the second book, and oh lord, what is it? The Song of the Shattered Sands. The first one was The 12 Kings of Sharakai, which I loved, and this one just basically continues on with Cheta and what is that boy's name? Emery. Okay, so if I was Cheta, Emery, and the Moonless Host. yeah, the Moonless Host and the other kings of Sharakai that she hasn't killed yet, because she's on this revenge plan to slaughter all 12 kings. And baby girl is bad. I love Cheta so much. But yeah, so we have that. So I guess I can give you guys like page counts for these books. These are massive, I know. So Akasaf is 751 pages, and I'm not counting the actual total pages in the book, I'm just counting the actual story. So 751 pages. Black Leopard is 620 pages long. With Blood Upon the Sand is 660, right? Yeah, 660 pages long. Priory of the Orange Tree is 804 pages, and then we have Game of Thrones, which is 607. Yeah, 807, sorry, 807 pages. So I have two 800-page books, one 700-page book, and then two 600-page books. So we got a lot of books on my TBR. I know. Okay, so now moving on, I'm going to now talk about the Becca's live 48-hour Bookopoly readathon. Click the audio, go to her video. But this is going to be from March 20th to March 21st, which is a Saturday and Sunday. Yeah, Saturday and Sunday. And she has already done the first rows. And what she has done was give two options. You can pick the Bookoplathon board, or you can pick her 2021 Bookopoly board. And both the prompts pretty much go hand in hand. So for the Bookoplathon board, she rolled and it landed on dark cover, and then the same thing for the 2021, it was fantasy, and most fantasies have dark covers, but pretty much you will get rolls every 12 hours. So roll number 2 will be at 12 p.m. on March 20th, roll number 3 will be at 12 a.m. On March 21st, and then the fourth and final roll is going to be on March 21st at 12 p.m. So this is pretty much a TBR you can't plan for, which is quite interesting. So hopefully the books I already have on my TBR will suffice. Hopefully. So the first one, like I said, is going to be dark cover or fantasy. I have plenty of books that will literally fulfill that prompt. So let's see. We have, well, no, we have fantasy here, right? Blood Upon the Sand. Literally all of my books on my TBR are fantasy. And if I wanted to be like dark cover and fantasy, maybe this one could probably fit. Paranisi could fit for dark cover. Yeah, so all the books on my shelf, on my TBR for the month of March will fit these prompts. So I'm good with that. Okay, guys, so the last sets of books I'm going to be reading, I actually picked them out from some cards that I have. So I have the TBR Avatar cards from G from the Book World. Click the audio, go to her video. But she ended up making some printables for everyone to play along, and I have the board, but I really just wanted to play with the cards. The cards are like super fun to me, so I use them like TBR cards, and I fanned them out and let my son pick out 2 cards. So these are the cards that he picked out, which I will read to you guys in a second. And then I also have the actual Bows and Book Ties TBR cards from Jessie. So yeah, I know that they actually recently just changed the containers. This one originally was white, but the new ones are silver, so I will be purchasing a new set just because I want the new ones or whatever. But yeah, I picked out 2 cards from that as well. So we're gonna dive in first with the TBR Avatar cards. So the first one is the Avatar State, read something from your favorite author. And then the second one was Korra, read a story with LGBTQIA plus rep in it. So for this one, I literally have a bunch of books on my shelf for that. So the first one definitely could be The House of Always, because there's bisexual rep, and pretty much it is what it is. There is a love triangle that's very convoluted and very complex, but I love it so much. There is Karen, I don't know why I said Karen. Karen is the main protagonist of the story, but he has a romance with a guy named Teraith, and then he also has a romance with a female named Janelle. And then there's some history behind all of them that's pretty much complex and convoluted, but I'm shipping more so his relationship with Teraith than Janelle, but I think it's everything. So yeah, I have Black Leopard Red Wolf, which I believe has gay rap in it, and then I have the Priory of the Orange Tree, which definitely has some lesbian rap. So I think that is it as far as like the books on my shelf. I'm pretty sure, I think there's a lesbian romance, if I'm not mistaken, in Grey Sister that happened in Red Sister. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, so I have books to definitely satisfy that. And then from read something from your favorite author, I have Bradley Pete Bolio's With Blood Upon the Sands, which is the second book in the Shattered Sands series. I think that one, he's definitely one of my favorite authors. And then I have Sarah J. Maas, of course. I love her writing, even though it's trashy and pretty cringy at times, I still love it, so definitely that. And I think that's it. Oh, Holly Black, of course. So I have books to fulfill that prompt. And then picking from the 2 cards over here, We have Next Level, the sequel, read a sequel, and obviously I have a few of those. So I have Gray Sister, which is a sequel to Red Sister. I have With Blood Upon the Sand, which is a sequel to 12 Kings and Shikara Kai. And I have the King of Elfenheim book, which is technically a sequel in a series. So I have a couple books to fulfill that one. And then for the Fixer Upper Prompt, this one pops out a lot. I think this might be like my favorite card because it pops out a lot when I use the cards. But it's BIPOC retelling of a classic. And for that, I'm actually gonna go with These Violence Delights by Chloe Gong. A lot of people have been raving about it. It is a Asian inspired retelling story of Romeo and Juliet. So I'm excited. It's set in the 1920s, right? 1926 in Shanghai, gangs, mafia, all that stuff. So I'm super excited to dive into this and really get some more info out of it. I love this cover, and I think the second cover is red, if I'm not mistaken. I really can't remember, but I love this cover so much. I didn't really see the picture of the second cover, but I heard that it was red. But I really just love the black background with the red roses and the gold with the sword. Anything with dragons I love. So even though dragons are probably not like realistically in this story, I like that there's a dragon on the cover. So yeah, pretty much that is it. So those are the books on my TBR for this month. Outside of these 14 books, I do have about 8 other books that I'm reading that are Christian related, and they're not here in my room right now. But if you want to see the other books I'll be reading, if I can put it in the cards, click the eye, and if I can't, it'll be linked down below to see what my other books are going to be for the month of March. I'll probably actually will list them as well down below under the books. So under where it says books mentioned, I'll put another section where it says books not shown, so you guys can see the other 8 books I'll be reading for the month of March. So I'm hopeful. I have about 20 some odd books. I definitely feel like I can get through them because I read pretty fast, and I'm actually enjoying audiobooks to help me get through books. So fingers crossed. The book I'm currently reading, like I said, is House of Always by Jen Lyons. I am loving it. I probably will pick up another book to read alongside of it because it is a thick boy. It is a thick boy. I wanted to actually put this in my Tome Topple readathon, but because I said I wanted it to be the first book that I was reading in March, it's not going to be able to happen. So I'm trying to debate, do I want to put it down? But I don't want to put it down because I definitely want to get my review and information up for this before it comes out. So who knows? But yeah, that is it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, reading, commenting, subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.